Hello, athletes and fans of bodybuilding. Tarek El-Gindi with the Mr. Olympia. Today, we have here one of the great sensations of the classic physique category. This guy has already won 3 pro shows. He won Tampa, he won New York, and he won Detroit. In Detroit, he was able to beat a former Arnold Classic champion, Wesley Vissers. He's on the rise, and many people believe, including myself, he can be a contender to win the classic physique title at the Mr. Olympia. Welcome, Matthew Greggo. How are you?
Thank you. It's an honor to be here with you, gentlemen. I'm excited to be here.
Very nice. I'm joined by my co-host. He is the former Mr. USA's 2000. He is the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia. He's the voice of bodybuilding, Bob Ciccarillo. How are you, Bob?
What's up, Tarek? Matt, good to see you, buddy. I hope your off-season progress is all it's cracked up to be, and you've got laser focus on the Mr. O.
Yes. Excited to get big.
Well, it looks like his shoulders are coming out. I'm not quite sure he's trying to intimidate us, Bob, but it's working. It's working. Now, Matt, you're kind of a new guy to the classic physique, right? We have the traditional names. You know, Chris Bumstead is now retired, but we've known of Terrence Ruffin. We've known of Wesley Vissers. We've known of Ramon. All of a sudden, you kind of rose quite fast in the scene. Tell us a little bit about your journey. If I'm not mistaken, you transitioned from men's physique. Tell us when you turned pro, your first classic physique shows, if you can describe your journey to us.
Right. So I went pro in men's physique in 2020 at the NPC University. You know, Steve Weinberger's show. It's phenomenal. And I competed in men's physique. I was never really like a guy to be in the running to win the show. I was in the first call at a good amount of shows, but I was never like in that run to actually win. And I decided in 2022 was my time to switch to classic. I did the New York Pro, my first show, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna go into the deep sea of bodybuilding, which is New York Pro. It's like one of the most recognizable shows in the industry, and I got 6th. And I really felt like, you know what, I'm gonna push to try to get to Olympia in that first year of being classic. And I went all the way, did the New York Pro, I did Atlanta, Chicago, and I won Tampa Pro. So it was not like, you know, instantly switch to classic and win. It took me a few shows, but I was blessed with making my Olympia my first year in classic.
Okay, and then so in your first Olympia, what was your placing?
I did not place. I was about 20 pounds under the weight cap.
So you're quite slim. And then the following year, Bob and I were in New York, and we had a chance to interview. And that seemed to be the show that you came out to the scene, right? Now, once you win the New York Pro, everybody in the world knew who you were, correct?
I mean, I think a lot of people started to know my name a little bit more, you know. But I think New York Pro is where people finally started to learn that, you know, as an athlete who could do something at the Olympia, not just be someone at this, you know, the Olympia stage, but someone who could actually place at the Olympia.
Bob, you remember him at the New York Pro. What was your impression about Matthew Greggo? How good is this guy? Do you like him or you don't like him?
Oh, listen, Matt knows I'm a big fan of his physique. It reminds me a lot of myself when I was a young man. I was a few inches taller than most of the guys I was standing next to, as Matt is. And the biggest problem I had, I think, was probably the same for Matt, and I'll ask him that, but it was filling out, you know, front to back, trying to get that thickness. You know, I had reasonably long arms and legs. The legs came up quick for me, and then it was the upper body that I had to kind of keep filling out to match the legs. Eventually got it squared up, but, you know, it took many years. You know, and Matt, you know, has been at this this is going into his 5th year, so he's made a tremendous amount of improvements in a short time. But I see that his upper body has now been brought up to match the legs. His hallmark is his structure, and this is what you got to have when it comes to classic physique: that shape, that symmetry, that proportion. We always talk about. Everybody knows I'm a bodybuilding purist, and those 3 things you got to have those boxes checked. If you're going to get up there into that top 5 of the Olympia, and I think Matt has an excellent chance this year at knocking on that door, if not grabbing the title.
Yes.
Bob, I have here a pose with Matthew Greggo, and I want you to take a look because I think this is quite relevant pose. That's where Chris Bumstead kind of made his name was that amazing side chest. Now, as I'm gonna go out of bounds here. Doesn't this guy remind you a little bit of Bill Pearl? Face, the hair, the side. Do you see that, or you think
Remind me of who?
Bill Pearl?
Oh, Bill Pearl. Wow, you're really pulling out some names there, buddy. That's
Do
impressive.
you know who
But
Bill Pearl is, Matthew?
I'm not gonna act like I do. I don't.
Okay, so Bill Pearl is one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's hero. He's like one of Arnold, like grew up and he had pictures of Bill Pearl on his wall. And I'm gonna bring pictures here so you can see who that is.
well, Bill Pearl. So you're going back to the old days, bro. You're going back to the 50s and 60s with Bill Pearl. Okay, as a former universe champ, excellent physique. I got to be honest, Derek. I don't see much Bill Pearl. I'm going to kind of stick with more modern terms. I actually see Matt is more of a Bumsteadish type physique, in height, in structure. Bumstead, you got to remember, everybody thinks, he was just kind of hit the ground running and started winning Olympias. That wasn't the case. He didn't win his first few Olympias, and he had to fill out his upper body as well, which he did. And of course, he went on to win 6. I see Matt kind of in that same vein where, again, now his upper body is matching the lower body. He's got good thickness, and he's making the right move this year. And I want to give you credit, Matt, because we're often very critical to bodybuilders these days about not having the right path. They don't have the right blueprint. I don't think they make the right decisions a lot of the times. I think this could have been very tempting for you to go in Pittsburgh or New York or any other shows, but you got the early qualification. Great, and you're using the time wisely because you got to put your eggs into the Olympia basket at this point because you are right on the cusp of a breakout year at the Olympia. Your thoughts on the what we're talking about here with this off season, Matt?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it was very tempting to, it's the Manions, it's Steve, great relationship with them both. Obviously, the best shows, and I wanted to do them, but I knew that if I wanted to have a shot at winning the Olympia, it just wouldn't be possible to address what I need to in my physique in the time I have. So it was very tempting, but I knew that I need some downtime. Obviously, for the mental side too, kind of get my mind like refreshed and sharp to really attack the Olympia prep. And I'm gonna be at the shows too supporting, but I just knew for my strategy that it'd be best to take that time to grow, reset the mind, and really attack the prep for the Olympia. But I'll be supporting all the athletes there. Obviously, Derek's gonna be there, so I'll be right there supporting, cheering him on.
Sure.
So,
well, man, let's get specific because everybody always wants to know specific. So you need time to grow. You need time to perfect your physique. You want to fill in some gaps. What exactly are those gaps? I assume most of it would be in the upper body or thickness, or what are you focused on right now in perfecting your physique?
Right. So I think for me, from what I see, I'm being critical, I see my front is very strong, but I feel like my back, the thickness is where I lag the most. And I know that that's something that takes time. And I want to utilize the time from Detroit to the Olympia to really improve that. And I feel like I can because I've been making very good improvements from show to show. So if I feel like I can bring my back double up, I feel like that could put me in the running to actually, maybe even win the Olympia. But if I keep competing, I don't think I'll have the time to really bring up that back double to where I need it to be.
Yeah, the back is a bit narrow, right? I mean, he's got huge legs. The legs are thick. He's got the glutes, maybe a wider back. Yeah, I think that's his only weakness here is his back. But it looks like the structure is there to grow. Training with Derek Lunsford, you guys do the same exercises for back?
Yeah, I got his blueprint. That's why I'm using it to get bigger. I got the blueprint.
Well, there's a big difference. He's about 5 inches taller than Derek. But that said, here's the good news and the bad news, Matt. Okay. The good news is you've got all the tools. It's all there. You're not missing anything. The structure is there. And once you have the structure, you can build on it. The bad news is you're going to get the same exact stuff that I got back in the day, which is you just need more time in the gym. I would get that every time I would ask some expert or a judge, just keep doing what you're doing. You just need more reps in the gym. You just, you got them. Your body needs to mature. Right? Let me guess. You probably heard every one of these things.
100 times.
Well, let me bring in Hall of Fame Sean Ray. Hey, Matt, first of all, I want to apologize to you because we were supposed to do this live 2 weeks ago, but Bob was at FIBO. Everybody was traveling. I wanted to bring the big guns, Sean Ray and Bob Ciccarello, to interview you because after winning the Detroit Pro, you deserve to be interviewed by the best. If you get compliments by these two guys, that means you're really good because they haven't given a compliment to anybody on my lives for the last 5 years. So that means you're really good. With that being said, I want to bring here Hall of Famer Sean Ray, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. Sean, how are you?
Well, first, let me congratulate Matt on his victory, and that was well deserved.
Thank you.
You earned every bit of it, and there's no complaints here. You're exactly what we were looking for. Even though I wasn't there, I can see by the pictures and what little video I saw that you are the real deal. So you're on the right track.
Sean, I have a question. Before you got into the live, I said that Matthew Greggo reminds me of an old school bodybuilder. And Bob Ciccarello said, Tarek, no way. You must be hanging around Chris Cormier way too much. Okay. Yep. Here's a picture of Matthew Greggo's side chest. Look at this. Look at the face. The side chest. Okay. Now let's go back. Doesn't he remind you a little bit of this guy right here?
And Tarek be smoking that crack.
Does he remind you a little bit of Bill Pearl?
Yeah, and that's the great thing about the division he competes in is that we are seeing all kind of different looks from all kind of new faces, and it's kind of exciting to see the progression. I mean, we were talking not too long ago about Wesley Visser, and I remember when we were talking about C-Bum coming up and Rough Diesel. They all have different looks that are very unique. Logan Franklin as well. Matt brings something to the table that's these guys are going to have to put up with for a long time. I'm not sure how old are you, Matt?
30.
Yeah, but you look like you're just fresh as the daisy right now. You look like you're brand new to the scene. I'm not sure how long you've been training, but the look that you're presenting on the stage is one that these guys are going to have to contend with. Yeah, there's some things you're going to have to continue working on, but mind you, you're 30 and you're kind of just hitting your stride. When I was coming up, 31 was old, actually. I mean, Lee Haney retired with 8 Olympia wins, right? He had a lot of gas left in the tank. I retired at 35 from the competition stage, but 30 is the new 40. You got a lot of things that you can continue to do and develop with your physique that made that Detroit show exciting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you bring to the Olympia.
Let me correct you on that, Sean. 30 is the new 20, you mean. It's not the new 40. Otherwise, he's going backwards. But
no, Sean.
That said, this is day of corrections. Tarek, you're smoking crack. I mean, he doesn't look anything like Bill Pearl. But
Sean,
I'm going to get you off the hook, bro. Okay,
Sean,
so Matt, when you're Googling, okay, I'm going to bring you a little bit closer into this century, okay? I'll tell you a guy who you do remind me of, and you can look this up, and you'd be very proud to be very similar characteristics. He also was a little narrow in the back, but fixed that as he went. You have a broader structure, so I think you're going to go further. But you remind me of a guy named Charles Claremont, who was competing back in Sean's era, who was an excellent bodybuilder out of the UK, an absolutely phenomenal physique. Look up that physique. Now, that is a similar physique, Tarek. Yeah.
He needs to grow his hair if he's going to be Charles Claremont.
Well, listen, the Jeremy curl is out, but Sean, you might have even competed against Charles, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, in '91, when I slipped down to 5th place, because in 1990 I was in 3rd at the Olympia, but '91 I dropped to 5th, and Charles Claremont was in 6th. He was a 6-footer, 6'1" on a good day, lots of hair back in the day, but he had a wide back, nice shapely physique. He was up against some guy. I mean, mind you, the guys in the 90s, most of them are in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, it was a different type of a lineup. Yeah.
There you go.
But in terms of making comparisons, listen, at the end of the day, you're only as good as the guys you're standing next to. Because I brought up Logan Franklin earlier. He won my show out in Hawaii, qualified for the Olympia, trains a whole year for the Olympia, gets to the Olympia, doesn't even hit the stage. So potential is only going to get you so far. You got to finish the race, right? So you're qualified for the O. I wouldn't take your eyes off of the mirror. Forget the guys you're going to be standing next to, because some of them may not make it. I remember getting ready for the '94 Olympia, and Flex Mueller was coming off a second place to Dorian Yates. So in '94, I thought I was going to be dealing with Flex. Flex got in a car wreck. It's not to discourage you, but there's no guarantees that just because you're qualified, you're going to actually get on the Olympia stage. But even so, when you're on your way, look in the mirror, work on the things that you can control. You can't control who you're going to be standing next to. Those comparisons that we're talking about, Charles Claremont, Bill Pearl, nobody's going to remember those comparisons. The only thing they're going to compare you with is how you looked at your last show. So you got to beat that guy.
Well, let's ask the big question, Matt. Do you think? Well, first of all, let's ask this: what show do you feel you brought your best? Was it the last show, or was it a different show? And how much better than that do you think you can be at the Olympia?
I like both the Arnold and the Detroit look. I think my favorite look is probably the night show for Detroit. I think I really brought what I think is my best overall look. And I feel like from show to show, since I've been in Classic, I've improved a ton. I mean, like you guys said, I was pretty much a no name going to Classic, and I kind of made my name more known throughout the industry. So I feel like with the trajectory I've been on, I don't see myself not improving at a fast rate. You know, I feel like it's going to keep on going the direction it's been going.
And Matt, you said this class tops out at 219. How many pounds can you put on in terms of good muscle before that becomes an issue or a problem, or you're just topped out in the class? Where are you right now?
I think I could probably add a good 3-4 pounds, strategic though. You know, not just like adding,
Sure.
the area where I don't need it. But I think if I put it like we discussed, like my backside, I think that's going to really make my physique the complete look it needs to be for Olympia overall.
Yeah, he I love the legs. He's got the best legs on this lineup here, and even his back double biceps here is good. But if he has a formidable back, it will change him, right? I think it will give him more of a density because, like you said, Bob, he's kind of, they're all tall at this time, but he just needs a back. The waist is small, and he smiles the entire posing routine. Man, you got to teach these guys how to smile.
Let me tell you something. That's a lost art. If you actually look back to the Sean era that he competed in, or any of the routines, Sean was certainly one of the best when it came to the art of posing. Everybody's got a more relaxed look on their face. Nobody is got the nose scrunching, teeth gritting, most musculars. So you have to look like it's effortless. You look at Lee Labrada, you look at Sean, you look at Bob Paris, you look at some of the greatest posers in history. And that's something I believe like the classic guys do bring a lot more than the open guys, where they're not just stomping around hitting most musculars like it's a guest appearance. But what is there a style that you emulate, Matt, in your routines, or anybody that you looked up to, and or you like to look at old film and see them posing?
Ironically, I mean, Sean's era is a big influence, and even a little bit before, like Frank Zane,
Sure.
That era. I think those are the most. They made it look effortlessly, and they just looked like a statue. That was like kind of when I was looking at classic physique when I was transitioning. That's kind of what I wanted to go for. Even like the smiling and just the stoicism on the face. Like I feel like that's something that all plays like a factor into the overall look, which is why I try to make sure I'm not like on stage. I'm smiling, looking confident, looking poised. But yeah, I think like the '90s and even before is some of my favorite physiques personally. And kind of what I like to try to not morph my physique into, because every physique's different, but kind of what I like go to for like motivation, inspiration.
Matthew, we have a question here from one of our fans. Say you're always supportive of others in the gym. You don't get thrown off easy and come off very positive. Do you feel like you have a strong mental game? Apparently somebody works out with you and they feel like you're very supportive of them. Bob and Sean were never supportive of anybody but themselves.
Greedy.
Do you feel, you look relaxed on stage. Apparently you also relaxed at the gym. You mentioned something about mental health at your interview at the New York Pro. Tell us a little bit about, how to get to this stage that you're just like confident, happy, and tranquil about your life.
Yeah, for sure. So I went through a really hard point in my life where I just suffer with severe mental health, and it just came out of nowhere. And, people try to warn you about things when you're, start succeeding more in life and you just don't see it coming and then it just hits you in the face. And I went through a period of my life where I was struggling to even be here anymore. And it kind of gives you a new perspective on everything. And it kind of made me realize that life's short and I don't want to be a negative person, a person who's, down. And I want to be a person that people can look to help with their mental health. And while that period was really rough for me, where I was I was a mess and I spent most of the day crying and just struggling to get through the day. I'm happy it kind of went in my life and obviously exited, thank God, because now I can connect with people at a different level and I can, be a source for people to kind of look up to because especially for men, it's kind of hard to talk about mental health nowadays, because a lot of people kind of suffer in silence. I don't want that to happen because I know I spent months kind of just like locked away in my house and it was just miserable. It was like hell, like nonstop hell. So I want to make sure that if someone else is going through that, I can help them get through it and get to a new point in life, then be better than ever. So I think the fact that I went through that kind of gave me a new perspective on life to kind of be light, be grateful and abundant. And, God bless. I've been blessed with so many things now. So I try to be more positive and, just a good role model to people.
Oh, interesting, because we had here Derek Lunsford. Derek Lunsford is Mr. Olympia. He won the Arnold recently. And he said the same thing. He said,
Pittsburgh winner too. Pittsburgh winner too.
what's that?
Pittsburgh winner too.
One or two.
No, he's going to win Pittsburgh as well.
As
Arnold,
well? Oh, okay.
Olympia, and Pittsburgh.
Okay. I
getting
thought
ahead
you
of
were
us.
saying he's
He's
going to
getting
be
ahead of
one
us.
or two with Pittsburgh.
He's a
Matt,
prophet as well.
we're all over 40. We don't go as fast as you on those thoughts.
He foresees the future.
We need to
Yes.
take Adderall to catch those things. But Derek Lunsford was one of the lives, and it was interesting because the guy is a Mr. Olympia. I remember him turning pro at the USA's, and he also said he struggled with mental health at one point in his life. He was really down, and he had issues, and he had to come back. This is no secret. Keon Pearson also said, "I took a year off to improve my mental health as well." Was that one of the things that you bonded with Derek? You guys went through, some downslope in your life, and now you guys said, "Hey, maybe now we have this common ground. Let's become workout partners." Was that how you guys connected?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a factor. I mean, the main thing we connected was just being brothers in Christ and our faith. That was the first thing. And then obviously, as we became closer, we started training with each other. We started to learn more about each other, our past. And I didn't even know he went through mental health issues as well. I mean, that was new to me. So when I even heard that, I was like, we can even connect on a different level. So it was, it was more the brothers in Christ, the faith that brought us together. And then obviously, like the gym and all that's like the first thing that brings you together. But when you are in the gym, that's the fact that we were brothers in Christ that really made us true connection. And then learn about his mental health stuff. I was like, man, we just have so many similarities. We both have like a different mentality when it comes to training too. So like we just kind of click from so many different aspects and we kind of were synergistic together.
Man, where did bodybuilding come into play for you? Was this a period before you got into bodybuilding, or did it actually bring you into bodybuilding? But where did that come into play in your life?
Bodybuilding I just kind of naturally was into sports and I enjoyed lifting and I started to see some progress and I had someone at the gym say, you should get into bodybuilding. Everyone always says, oh, you should compete. And I'm like, those guys are big. I can't do that. And I heard about men's physique.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, if I put some board trips on against stage to compete, because I was a competitor all my life. So I was like, okay, this could be something I could do to kind of keep my competitiveness, and just fell in love with it. As you guys know, it's like nothing like it. Just when you have that like goal and that vision to where you want to go, it's just like gives you something to work for every single day.
So before you got into this part of your career, what did you see yourself doing like for the rest of your life? Did you have aspirations of being anything in particular? Like we all kind of started from somewhere and found ourselves here in the bodybuilding world. But if this never came into play, would you be a fireman today? Would you be, an accountant? Like where were you going in life?
Ironically, I was not going to bodybuild. So I was competing and I was going to quit bodybuilding to do like business, be in the business world. I was working in private equity marketing. So it's a pretty high stress
version
of marketing where like you work with like consumer packaged good companies, you scale them up, hopefully to get the company sold. That's what I was doing, and I actually quit all that to kind of go all in bodybuilding. I went to making pretty good money to making pretty much no money to try to pursue this dream. And I wouldn't say everyone go and do that because it's not the smartest thing to do, but I made it work. But if it wasn't for bodybuilding, I would definitely be, some sort of marketing, business ownership, something along those lines.
It's a good look. Sean, you like his look?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I mean, the only thing I'd say, you got to stay on top of the biceps, because that's a key component of the classic physique. Bring those arms up just a little bit more. The shape is all there. I like the color as well. Your color is good. Where's this video from?
Arnold, 2025.
I was sitting in the front. That's a nice look. Just put a little bit more meat on the biceps. Focus on that area a little bit more, and very complete, balanced, competitive physique.
Thank you.
Matt, with Bumstead hanging him up, obviously the class is wide open for a new champ. We've seen the emergence of Mike Sommerfeld. He looks great. Logan Franklin, similar to your own physique and height and structure, also brings a great package. There's some new guys that are coming out. We're going to see in Pittsburgh taking the stage. And the reemergence of Rough Diesel, who a lot of people consider the giant killer when it comes to the actual classic division. Not the biggest guy out, but posing is probably second to none. The question there, of course, is can he hang with the big boys? But do you see anybody emerging themselves as another Bumstead? Do you see Bumstead as kind of an Arnold type guy, respectively, that, we may not see another 6-time winner for any time soon? And who do you see as your biggest challenge to the Olympia? Is it a Mike Sommerfeld or is it somebody else?
I mean, obviously, if we're talking about the challenge, I mean, it's obviously Mike. I mean, he just won the Arnold and he was second to Bumstead at the Olympia. And to say regarding the Bumstead, I mean, Bumstead's he's Chris Bumstead. I mean, he's one in a generation talent, but
Yep,
I wouldn't say that no one can, no one can do what he did. I think no one thought Lee Haney could do what Lee Haney did, and then, so on and so forth. So I wouldn't say no one could do it. I mean, I very well could do it. I don't know. Maybe I couldn't, but I'm going to fight for my chance of winning, because I feel like every gentleman on that stage wants to fight for the chance of winning everything. And I that's how I feel in my heart, that we all should have that goal. But I'd be a fool to say that I'm not coming into the Olympia with the goal of winning. I feel like that'd be not wise of me. I feel like we should all shoot high. And if you don't land there, that's fine. But my goal is to win, and my goal is to win over and over again. But it's one step at a time. You can't get too far ahead of yourself. The first step is improve my weaknesses and see where I stack up against the rest of the guys in the division. But I feel like if I improve what I need to, I think I could be in a running to win it just as much as I feel like all the gentlemen can.
Matthew, let's make this a little bit uncomfortable, okay? I said on Olympia News after you won Detroit that I believe that you can win the Olympia. Now, so and when I say that, I believe that you have the potential to beat Ramon, that you have the potential to beat Mike Sommerfeld. The key question is two things. First, you got to have a better back, and then you got to fill up those arms. Are we going to see those improvements at this Olympia? And am I going to be correct in seeing you right there on the final call out at the Olympia? Or do you think Mike Sommerfeld is ahead of you and we should start praising him?
You will see me in that final call up.
Okay.
Well, keep in mind, you still got guys like Urs, you got Ramon. I mean, these guys have been on the stage for a little bit of time here. Like all things, I think sometimes the taller guys have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to, if they can fill out their physiques, it creates a better package, especially in classic. Sean, as a guy vertically challenged yourself for many years, do you see any advantage to the tall guys when it comes to classic? Because we don't see a lot of the shorter guys faring it well when you get to the big shows.
Yeah, you got to remember the first winner was barely 5'6" in Breon Ansley, and he was, or I should say, Danny Hester. Danny Hester, yeah. Then we had a couple years with Breon Ansley before they jumped up. Rough Diesel does present an alternative, but when you're in the land of the giants and all things are equal, the eye is naturally attracted to the bigger, taller individual. And the thing that can save Rough Diesel would be his presentation, which I've seen some very good presentations from bigger guys, but Rough Diesel's presentation is on a different level. The problem is when you start out slow behind these big, tall guys, it's hard to catch them. And so if I'm Matt, I'm not worried about who I'm standing next to. He's on the right trajectory, right? Like he's got to just keep doing what he's doing and ask the judges to stand him next to anybody. But in that division, I think the advantage is to the tall guy because you have more of them. You know,
Yep.
we're going to have these 4 or 5 tall 6-footers, and then there's going to be Rough Diesel. He's going to be odd man out. I know what that's like. We can be called giant killers all day long, but it's got to be a perfect storm for the giant killer to really overtake the giants, which are the 6-foot guys. This division is for the tall guys.
Well, Sean,
It's been a minute.
Sean, the last couple of years at the Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford and Hadi Chupin, they have beaten bigger guys.
Are we
beat
talking
Stan-
bodybuilding or are we talking classic? Derek,
Yo,
you with us?
I'm gonna go as far as to say even classic physique. We had Denny Hester, right?
That
He
was
the first-
2016. What are you talking
Yeah, that
about?
was a
I
long time
understand,
ago, bro.
But he didn't grow. He didn't grow a few inches since then. He's still
No,
short.
and he didn't continue winning either.
Breon Ansley was actually short, right?
It's been a minute since he's won the Olympia. We're
And-
talking
and-
about lately. The classic has gone 6 years of Chris Bumstead, okay? And now we got this guy coming up and Logan Franklin and the other 6-footers, Urs and Raymond Dino. For the little guy, it's a tough one to knock into because he's got to beat a lot of tall guys. And I just don't know that that's going to happen. Are there victories out there for someone like Rough Diesel? Yeah. I mean, there's shows that he can win. The Olympia, I'm not sure they're going to go back to the
Well,
shorter guy. Not in classic.
Historically speaking, most people don't know this. So I'm going to educate all of you guys right now. You ready, Bob? Love educating you.
I love to learn. Yes.
I
Okay.
can't wait to hear this one.
Terrence Ruffin has defeated Chris Bumstead. Okay.
Yes, a long time ago.
In the first classic physique show that Chris Bumstead competed, Darren Charles won, Rough Diesel was second, and Chris Bumstead was third. I
Let
don't
me give you
think.
some education, Tarek. I beat
Hold on,
Ronnie
let me
Coleman
finish.
5 years in a
Let
row.
me,
Did you
let
know
me
that?
finish.
Right?
I don't think Chris Bumstead won because he was the tallest guy.
No, once he won, he didn't lose.
Wesley
The same way that
Vissers-
Ronnie Coleman didn't lose 8 years in a row.
Wesley Vissers is taller than Bumstead, and he didn't win the Olympia. I think we're telling Matthew Greggo, oh, you're a tall guy. You know,
He
it's
has
going
an
to take time
advantage.
to fill up. Well, the shorter guy has an advantage because they can fill up a little bit faster, right?
Well, hang on. I'll give you a good answer to this real quick. Some education coming back your way, my friend. Okay.
There we go.
The bigger guy, it's going to take him a little longer to get there, like a Ronnie Coleman, just like I was just going right where Sean said. Everybody beat Ronnie Coleman too until they couldn't. The bigger guy is going to take a little longer to get there because he's got a lot more area to fill up. But when he gets there, the sum of the parts is a much better package that, exactly like Sean said, your eye is drawn to the bigger guy and he's very difficult. This is Arnold versus Franco. Okay. You can give it 100 examples of how this happens. Danny Hester was a great champ. We love Danny. He's a good friend of ours. But that was many, many years ago. And then he never sniffed another victory again. Breon, same thing. Early success, and then the class kind of got away from him. And you can channel this to other categories as well. You look at Mark Anthony, your first ever men's Olympia champ in men's physique. That physique today would get absolutely demolished on stage because the classes evolve. And as they evolve, the bigger, broader, wider shouldered guy like a Matt Greggo, like a Logan Franklin, like an Urs, those are going to be the guys to beat ultimately. That's why Chris Bumstead, to your point, Tarek, he did get beat early in his career, just like Coleman, and then you couldn't beat him anymore.
Well, I don't
that's
think
like-
Sean, did you ever lose to Paul Dillette?
Unfortunately, twice I did.
Sean, come on.
96. I was
Tell
off.
me, Sean, you made a living out of beating bigger, taller guys. I mean,
I know.
you-
I jumped in the pro Ironman on like 6 weeks notice, and I did the Arnold a week later. And of course, I thought I was going to beat Paul because he's just not complete. But I wasn't in shape, and he got a sniff, and he beat me.
But you beat him about 20 times in your life, 30 times.
I stayed the course in the state. Later on in the year, I caught him at the Mr. Olympia. What I'm saying about the short guy is we've seen it. And so in the beginning, there was this wow factor with Danny Hester and Breon Ansley, and we thought that was a new division for the little guy. Until now, it's the land of the giants. I mean, in bodybuilding, classic, 6 feet is the norm for the winners, the guys that are winning that show. When you get to the Olympia, I mean, we've been watching Bumstead for the past 6 years do what he do. I remember Lee Haney said when he was on his way out in 91, He said it's going to take a Titan to beat a Titan. I knew he wasn't talking about me, and he damn sure wasn't talking about Vince Taylor and Labrada. So here comes Dorian Yates, and he's just Lee Haney reincarnated with lighter skin. In this scenario, Matt's got a better opportunity for victory on that Olympia stage, I think, than somebody as small and short as Rough Diesel. Only because he fits the mold. This guy only has a few things he's got to fill out and work on, but that's personal to him. He has a better shot at beating these tall 6-footers than the little guy does in this day and age.
No, I understand your point. Matthew, when we start arguing here, the three of us, you're supposed to mediate, okay, and reel back, okay?
I didn't get warned of this beforehand. I had no idea.
Listen, Matt's smart enough to agree with us. Why wouldn't he? We're putting him in the number one contender spot. So, and listen, let's not take anything away from Mike Sommerfeld, because Mike isn't a 6-footer, but he's also not really small either. What he does present is a very complete physique, which right now is difficult to beat. He's going to be the guy, as he should be. But I agree with Sean 100%. The taller guys, the broader guys, like I say, once they fill out, listen, Dillette would have been a world killer if not for the fact that he couldn't hit a back shot to save his life. And that's where he just completely faulted out, was he had nothing from the back, kind of like Gary Strydom. Strydom listen, he should have been up there with Haney contending for the title. And he was, until they turned around and it was like, oh boy, that's enough for that.
I'm going to say that Paul Dillette didn't hit a back shot well because he didn't really have a great back, right?
He didn't. He had delts.
You know what I mean?
But it got worse as he went, though. If you look at his early picks, he could actually hit it somewhat, and then it just, as his career kind of kept going, it actually got worse and worse. Strydom, same thing. He just could not feel his back. He just couldn't do it.
But here's my question to all of you guys. When I look at this guy, Suzuki, he's 30 years old. Yeah. He still has hair, looks like Bill Pearl. He has a thickness. He has a thickness to his chest, to his arm. I'm almost going to be inclined to say this. If Matthew Greggo has an easy time putting weight on, this guy could eventually end up in the open. Do you see that, Sean Ray? Do you see that, Bob Chicarillo? He just looks like he can carry some thick muscle on this frame.
Yeah, I think all of those guys in Classic. Me and Bob were waxing over the fact that Wesley Vissers should go in the open. A lot of these guys are on the cusp. And sometimes, because of this weight division, they have to hold themselves back from filling out because they're trying to be in Classic. You change the shorts and you fill out 10, 15 pounds. I mean, I was of the opinion that Bumstead could win over in Poland when he lost to Fitzwater. I still think I like Chris better when we stand them next to each other. He had a better physique. He didn't lose that show because he wasn't a better physique guy. He lost it because it was a bodybuilding contest, and I think the judges had it in their mind that he's a Classic physique competitor, right? So just changing the shorts, putting on a little bit of weight doesn't necessarily make you a bodybuilder, but Matt's got all the trappings of a bodybuilder. I think when you talk about supersizing, yeah, you got to put some weight, because at 6 feet, we've seen guys that are, 250, 260, 270 pounds. I've seen shorter guys that get that heavy. So yeah, it's a lot harder to be a bodybuilder today at 6 foot or 6 foot plus than it was back in the day. This is an area where I think he's in a sweet spot right now. I would stay where you're at, stay healthier, stay fitter. This is where you need to be.
Man, I'm going to give you your custom blueprint of your next 4 years of your life, buddy. Okay, here you go.
Oh God, Matthew.
I think Matt's going to do extremely well this year. Let's say he doesn't win the Olympia, but let's say he's in that top 3. I think it's very doable. I think the following year he actually wins the show. I would defend the title one time, Matt. At that point, you're knocking on the door. 220 is going to get a little rough. At that point, I take my 2 wins. I put them in my back pocket, if Posing Trunks had pockets, and I go to the open, okay? Because Sean's exactly right. You have the structure and all that stuff to do it. Obviously, 220 ain't going to get it done in the open. You'd probably have to be in the 30s, maybe even low 40s, but you could hold that weight very good and keep that waist. So to me, I think you're a future Olympia winner in this division, but I could easily see you moving on to the Open. I also have said this about Urs. I think he would have a good shot, and Wesley Vissers. I mean, people say that he don't have the legs, but I've seen Wesley when he was a lot bigger when he turned pro, and his legs do come up as he puts on the weight. And he had a great physique, I thought, for Open, something maybe he would consider. But to all you guys, I mean, listen, this is a great stepping stone, and you have the ability to not only win an Olympia here. Listen, Derek did the same thing in the 212 and then the Open, right? So I don't see it any different than that. But you can pay me later, Matt, but there it is, the next 4 to 5 years of your career mapped out for you, brother.
I appreciate it. I do. And I think for sure for me, it's one day at a time, one step at a time. Classic for sure. My goal is to win the Olympian. Obviously, that's the end goal. But, I never say never anything. But as you said, Derek, I mean, it's hard to see Derek and then see myself and then be like, could these two be on stage together? Like, it's hard to see it personally. But maybe down the road one day, maybe in these 4 years that you said, it's a possibility. But for sure, my goal right now is Classic for the next few years for sure.
Matthew, usually money can make friends enemies real quick, so don't worry about that.
Well, hang on, Matt. Listen, Matt's a money guy, right? That's his background. And Sean, you've been adamant about the biggest difference between the first place prize money and of Classic and Open, and it's an extra 0 with that big 6 in the front. That there's a lot of reasons to want to move on.
Yeah, I mean, the Classic guys, they're lucky they have an option because the bodybuilders don't. It's hard for a bodybuilder to come down to do Classic once we've seen you as a bodybuilder. Reagan Grimes, classic example. He once he came down to Classic Physique, I think he won the New York Pro, if I'm not mistaken. But he couldn't stay light. He had to put the weight back on. And of course, he's still trying to find his footing in the Open bodybuilding. But this is a journey. And at the end of the day, I think the graduation is you take this as far as you can, and then you graduate and be a bodybuilder, because that's what you're doing anyways, except your body shaping, your body sculpting. You got to train within certain parameters, but you take the leash off and let the body grow and let you absorb the calories and the carbohydrates and feel the steel and challenge yourself. You're going to supersize what you already have. And there are shows out there where hardcore bodybuilders don't have your shape, they don't have your structure, and they're not as tall, and they're not as full, and they're not as big. If you look on the Open bodybuilding circuit, we only have Samson and Andrew Jack that are like 6-footers, that are big guys. All the rest are midgets like me. So you do have time to do.
But they have won, Sean. They have won. Derek and Hadi, they have won the Olympia with their height.
I know. But they're 240 freaking pounds, 250 pounds. This guy's a 6-footer. He'd have to put on a little bit more weight than that because those guys are short, squatty, and boxy. The last big guy was Samson, and before that it was Big Rami. But 6 foot is not really big. But when you step on a bodybuilding stage on the Open division, there's not a lot of real shapely 6-footers that have the classic look, right? That are classically built with round muscles, kind of Bob Paris, Barry DeMay in my day. You just don't see the pretty 6-footers because they're all sucking down to Classic at 220 pounds. I mean, there's victories out there in the Open division for the guy that says, you know what, like you said, Wesley Vissers, if he said screw it with Classic and goes into bodybuilding, there's shows that he's going to win. And he's going to probably win more prize money there than he would in Classic.
Let's also take note that your all-time winningest Olympians are all close to 6 foot, if not over. Arnold, Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, Phil Heath, right? You're talking about all the guys with the biggest amount of titles are all closer to 6 foot than not.
Well, I think Arnold is the only one. Was Lee Haney over 6?
He's 5'11",
5'11" and 1/2 inches. Lee likes to let me know he's got that 1/2 inch.
Coleman was 5'11". Phil was 5'9".
It's a journey. I mean, Phil was 5'9" and graduate, huh?
Phil was 5'9".
Phil's taller than 5'9".
Yeah,
trust me.
5'10". He's about 5'10".
Well, anyways, Matthew, we have high expectations. These guys think you should eventually go to the Open. I do see that, but I think at this point you're doing really well in Classic. With that being said, we have a segment here on Olympia Live where we call Losing Followers, Making Enemies, okay? Now, you've defeated Wesley Vissers at the Arnold, and you defeated him in Detroit. Are you ever losing to him again?
I mean, respectfully, I don't see it happening.
So Ramon placed fourth at the last Mr. Olympia. He was holding water. He actually was defeated by Wesley Vissers on the previous Arnold. Is Ramon behind you right now? You think you will beat Ramon at the Olympia?
Statistically, he's ahead of me for sure. But I feel like the improvements I'm going to make, I could be ahead of Ramon at the Olympia.
How
But I
about,
love Ramon. I'm training with him right now, too. So,
well, we're here to create animosity, Matthew. How about Urs Kalachinsky? It looks like you're filling up. It looks like you can beat him. Are you beating him at the Mr. Olympia?
I'm just worried about being Mr. Olympia Classic. We could name all the guys in the division. My goal is to be the Mr. Olympia Champion Classic. So that means I got to beat everyone. So the answer to everyone's yes.
Okay.
But I want to say, too, that they're all great athletes. They push me to be better. But at the end of the day, my goal is to be the champion. And that means I got to defeat everyone. But they're all great.
Bob, I want you to give me the top three at the Mr. Olympia 2025. And let me know if Matthew Greggo is there or not.
He is there, actually. I'm going to go, if I had to pick it right now based on all the factors, you were what, 10th last year, Matt, I believe, at the Olympia?
Yes. Yeah.
10th. Listen, that's a hell of a leap, okay? So if he can get into that winner's circle, great. If I'm putting money on it today and I got to pick it, I'm going to go with Sommerfeld for the win. I'm going to go with Matt Greggo in second. Third's kind of up for grabs, but I'm going to stick with Ramon Dino. He's only had one bad outing. Everybody kind of wrote him off, but he's an excellent bodybuilder. But that's a crapshoot. That third, fourth, fifth is up in the air with Ramon, with Urs, with some of the new guys that we got coming out. You got some excellent bodybuilders that are going to be coming up in just another week here at the inaugural Pittsburgh. So, but Matt, I'm going to show you up about 8 spots here, buddy, in the second place, and I think after that, I got Matt fighting for the win.
That's great, Bob. I can't wait to share this live with all the Brazilian channels and make sure you get a lot of hatred mail from
you know
all
what?
the
Thanks for reminding. Here come the dinosaurs, man. Here we go.
The dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs everywhere.
Sean, you were probably one of the greatest classic physique. You probably, if the category was there back then, you would have won maybe 10 Olympias. Well, tell me, do you think Mike Sommerfeld is the favorite to win? Well, what is your top three heading to the Olympia if you were to speculate?
I've done everything in our industry except judge, right? I'm not really good at predictions because I know, being a former Olympian, that timing is everything. And you got this prejudging, which is great for the Classic at 12 noon. I believe it takes place at the Expo, correct?
Yeah.
I love it because that's exactly what we used to do. That's not how it works in the open bodybuilding anymore. Open bodybuilding prejudging is at nighttime, long after you've drank it and you eaten and you fill up and you spill over. By the time you do prejudging, most of those guys aren't as good as they should be. You guys happen to look phenomenal because you're on right there at high noon on a Friday afternoon, ready to do business, and then pretty much it's easy sailing after that. I don't make predictions, but you are in the mix, brother. I mean, you're headed in the right direction. I don't have to blow smoke up your butt. I think you're starting to smell what's cooking. It's getting, the closer you get, the more you get the goosebumps because you have an opportunity to get that call out that you've dreamt about, that you've never had. I witnessed Ronnie Coleman's rise from 9th place to 1st. I was standing there on the stage, and I was dumbfounded that he could make such a huge leap to victory. I watched Jay Cutler come from, I believe it was 9th place to 2nd in my last Olympia, leapfrogging over guys that, had taken turns whipping Jay's ass. It can happen. It's not that far fetched that you can make that leap. And as much momentum as Sommerfeld has, you got to remember, they have just as many issues that you're going to have on the way. We're talking about mental health issues. Remember, Nick Walker was supposed to be in last year's Olympia, and right before the show, he wasn't. So I wouldn't focus too much on what those guys are, who you got to beat, how big that mountain is. If you do what you keep doing, you may be doing exactly what needs to be done. The requirement doesn't necessarily mean you got to do all of this crazy shit. Just keep doing what you're doing, and then let the chips fall where they may. You may wind up right there. Flex Wheeler sounded so insecure about what he was going to do in '93, and all he did is he went out, he won the Ironman, the Arnold Classic, the Miami Pro, and wound up in second in his first Olympia. It can happen. It's up here. You're talking about that mental mind stuff. If you focus on you, let the judges do their job. I'm not going to do that for them.
Matthew, I'm never going to forget this live. I've never seen these guys give so much compliments to one person. This is incredible. I mean, if Samson Dauda was here, they would not have been this positive. I'm not quite sure what's happening today, but apparently they really, really like you. Your training partner is Derek Lunsford, correct?
Yep.
And who's your prep guy?
Chris Aceto.
Oh, okay, Sean Ray's best friend. Well, it looks like you got a good team. I'm happy. I'm happy about what you're doing. I was really happy about seeing you win in New York, but I'm also gonna commend you about being honest about mental health, because I think a lot of people struggle. And like you said, now they're looking up to you. They're seeing you smile on stage. They're seeing you happy and composed. And I think you're a great example. I subscribe to your channel, and I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, guys. Awesome.
While we got you here, I got to put you in the hot seat. We got Pittsburgh coming up. It's a blockbuster of a show. Everybody in the world is going to be in Pittsburgh, whether you're competing or not. So I'm really looking forward to this one. But I know as a bodybuilding fan, my friend, you've got your nose in there. Your training partner is in the show. Your predictions for the top 3 in men's open.
I mean, I'm just going to be biased and unbiased at the same time. I think Derek, it's not going to be close. I know what he looks like right now, and he's better than Arnold right now, and he's bigger, he's harder, his shape is better, and I know that I don't see anyone in that group even coming close, and I have nothing but respect for Nick, Martin, all the rest of the gentlemen, Greggo, but I think it's going to be too many bells and whistles for the rest of the gentlemen there to come out victorious, but I think it's going to be a great show overall, but I do see Derek winning quite handily.
Where do you think Bob Chick would place if he was in that lineup?
Who the hell is Bob?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I actually, funny enough, I looked at Bob's photos, and I'm like, dude, this guy's physique was like classic through and through.
All right, we got to go. All right,
Yeah.
we're running long.
Hey, you're Ned.
We're running long. We got to go.
Matthew, Bob is already the most self-centered human being on earth. You're not supposed to come in here and give this guy a compliment.
Let's wrap it up.
Be unbearable.
Listen, I appreciate a good physique.
Damn right, man. Listen, you speak your mind, man. All right, second place, Fitzwater or Nick?
Nick
in second. Third and fourth, Fitzwater or Good Vito?
Third, I have Fitzwater. Fourth, I don't have Vito. I think it's going to be between William and Greggo.
Yeah, I mean, Greggo, I tell you what, if Greggo brought up another guy bringing up his back, his arms are just, chest is just stupid. I mean,
now if Vito, I don't know what Vito looks like right now, but if his backside matched the front, I think it would be a different conversation, but I think Vito just needs a little more time.
So I think you answered my question. Bob would be in 6th.
Listen,
right.
I'll take top 6 right now. But all right, Matt, last question to you. In your own division, who do you have winning? You got Rough Diesel coming back. You got Josema. You got to get a couple of new cats in there. Any idea who your pick would be you think might end up in the winner's circle here in Pittsburgh?
It's going to, honestly, I feel like a lot of people aren't discussing Josema enough.
Yeah.
I think that they're talking about Carlos de Oliveira and Terrence, but I think we need to also talk about Josema. He was 6th at the Olympia. He's got a crazy back shot. I think he could definitely be in the running to win the show. I mean, I think Terrence is a great bodybuilder, but I think we have to recognize a young talent like Josema as well. But I think Terrence is definitely the on-paper favorite, but I won't be surprised if Josema gives him a headache. And even Carlos is looking really good, but I've never seen him pose on stage. So I can only go off what I saw, just from online. But, online it makes everyone look the best.
Yeah.
But I think that's the top 3 for sure. I would say Terrence probably has the best shot of winning, but don't be surprised if Josema is right there with him, and probably Carlos in third.
Very cool. Great predictions. Great to spend time with you, Matthew. My only regret is the compliment you gave Bob, but it's okay. Life is not perfect.
Listen, Clearly, the
Forgive
kid
me.
knows physiques. There's nothing wrong with that.
Listen, all jokes set aside, Bob Cicherillo at the Night of Champions, where he took second to Marcos Rule, Bob Cicherillo had a tremendous physique. He's a great bodybuilder, and he was NPC USA champion. So he joined the group of guys like Phil Heath, Flex Wheeler, some of the Brendan Curry, right? And Sean Ray, I must say here, Bob, Sean Ray was a better bodybuilder than you were. You would admit to that.
He knows that.
Other than the still contested 1985 Teenage National Championships, which I'm still pissed about to this day.
Roll the tape.
Sean Ray
didn't have tape back then.
He's a Hall of Fame. He's one of the greatest, in my opinion, one of the 10 best bodybuilders of all times.
All right.
But I want to thank our sponsors. We have here Mutant, represented by Sean Ray Mutant. And also we have Celsius, right? That's your sponsor, correct, Bob Cicherillo?
I got a few, buddy, but there you go.
Panada, okay. And
don't
Matthew. Oh, look, you still have guns. You need to stop those injections, Bob. They're not good for you. Matthew, talk to us about your sponsors. Who are your sponsors?
My clothing sponsors, TLF. My supplement sponsors, Infinus. Just hopped on board with them. They've been great to me. And a little brand new spotlight is I just signed with Gym Reapers as well. Very cool. Very cool. We'll also want to give a shout out to Chris Aceto and Derek and all my team and all people who have been helping me. It's a team effort.
No, yeah. Chris called me. He said, Tarek, if I trained Sean Ray, he would have won the Olympia. They have a great relationship.
Yeah. He would have made me taller, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the superstar, Matthew Greggo. This guy won the Detroit Pro. He won the New York Pro, the Tampa Pro. He's ascending in bodybuilding, and we're excited to see what he's going to do at the Classic Physique at the Mr. Olympia. I want to thank Bob Cicherillo. He's the voice of bodybuilding, the 2000 Mr. USA's. He's the master of ceremony for the Mr. Olympia. And I must say, a very, very good bodybuilder. He's the runner-up at the Night of Champions after Marcos Rule. And I want to thank my other co-host. He is the legendary Sean Ray, one of the greatest bodybuilders of all times, arguably the 1994 Mr. Olympia. But I know Dorian Yates would be very mad to hear that. My name is Tarek El-Guindi. We'll see you next week where we bring Mike Sommerfeld so he can talk to us. We'll see you next time.